Hi everyone, you're welcome to another tutorial on this channel. Thank you for stopping by. In this video, I'll be showing us the process of cutting and sewing this beautiful dress. This is a backless halter neck dress, and you can use any fabric of choice to make this style. You can also make it longer if you want. I used about 2 yards of fabric and I totally love the outcome. So if you love sewing tutorials like this, why not keep watching and let's get into the video. To make this dress, you need your full length, your shoulder, your waist circumference, and your shoulder to your back waistline. That's your back half length. My fabric for this tutorial is a patterned fabric and it is 2 yards. If you are making the longer version, you will need 4 to 4.5 yards, depends on your body size. But if you want to use African print, that's Ankara, for this short dress, you'll be needing 3 yards. Because Ankara is by 45 while this is by 60 in length. To start, we'll need to fold our fabric into 2 on a bias fold, that's in a triangle shape. So I'll fold the selvage, that's the yardage, against the length this way. Now that we have our fabric on fold, the next thing to do is to divide our shoulder measurement into 2. My shoulder measurement divided by 2 is 7.5 inches. So I'll add extra 1 inch sewing allowance, making it 8.5 inches. Then I will place my tape on my fabric this way and mark wherever I get that 8.5 inches. Here is where I got the 8.5 inches. Now I'm supposed to mark that same measurement at this other end, but I won't mark it because if I do, I will end up having a V shape, and even if I draw a straight line across, it won't be straight because the fabric is on a bias fold. So what I'll do instead is to place my tape at the tip of the fold and measure down to where I mark, that is 10 inches. Then I will keep my tape at the tip of the fold and mark that 10 inches all through. And this way, my neckline will have that round shape. I will tag this line the starting line. Now the next thing to do is to create casing for the drawstring that will be tied around the neckline. You can either mark your casing allowance above the starting line or below the starting line. For me, I'll mark it below the starting line. So I will use 1.5 inches as my casing allowance. Yours could be 1 inch, okay? And I will mark that 1.5 inches following the direction of the starting line. What happens when you mark your casing allowance below the starting line is that you will have fuller fabric around that area. And if you mark it above the starting line, this is what it will look like. The next thing to do is to get the dress length, that's the full length of your dress. Now there's 2 ways to this. Is either you place your tape at the tip of your fold, or you place your tape on the second, not the starting line, and measure your dress length. And here is what I mean. Now this is what our fabric looks like at the moment. So after you must have determined your dress length, you come to this point and mark it. So the first option is you moving your tape on this second line to measure your dress length round. The other option is you placing your tape at the tip of your fold and come down to that point you marked, but this time the measurements will be more. So just keep your tape at the tip and measure round this way. So whichever option you choose to use, it is still the same thing. I'll go ahead now to mark my dress length on the main fabric using this method. I want my dress length to be 34.5 inches, but I will add extra 1 inch as hem allowance, making 35.5. I will measure around that measurement just as I illustrated earlier. And this is all for the drafting of the front piece. I will cut it out now. The The total measurements I have for my dress length now is 37 inches. But when I take out the casing allowance, I'll be left with my dress length plus the hem allowance. Now that we have the front piece, the next thing we want to do is to mark where our back piece will start from. This is where you need your shoulder to your back waistline. Mine is 15 inches, but for the purpose of this tutorial, I will add extra 1 inch, making it 16 inches. See where I placed my tape? That is where you should place yours, below the drawstring casing. Now, you don't necessarily have to use your shoulder to your back waist measurement. You can go below or above that. Just use whatever inches you are comfortable with, but it should not be too high, okay? Then you should notch where you marked and set your front piece aside so as to work on the back piece. For the back piece, you are folding it same way you folded the front, and I already folded mine, as you can see, but it seems the length will not be long enough at this side of the hem. I will have to join a piece of fabric so it can add up. Now I'll place the front piece on the back piece this way, then proceed to cut out the hem before working on the upper part. And this is what this side of the back hem looks like. I will go ahead now to join a piece so it can add up to the length. So in case you have shortage of fabric like I do, just go ahead and add a piece and it will add up to the length. Now let's work on the upper part. The first thing to do is to duplicate that notch on the front piece to the back piece. Now from that notch, I will go up by 1.5 inches, which is for elastic casing. There's going to be elastic at the back. You can use 1 inch as well. So from that mark to the tip of my fold, what I have there is 25 inches. My camera couldn't capture everything. So what I will do is to mark that 25 inches all around. Whatever measurement you have, after taking out your elastic casing, go ahead and measure it round as you can see me do. Now, if you cut it out this way, you are going to have a round shape. But if you don't want yours that way, you can just come down from the center by 1 to 1.5 inch. Then you connect the point this way and also cut it out that way. For me, I want it round, so I will cut on the first line. Here is what you will have after cutting, and if you cut on the second line, you are going to have something like this. For the front piece, this is what it looks like. Now that we are done cutting, let's start stitching. I'll be working on the back piece first. I will go over to the sewing machine to create casing for the elastic. To do this, I'll give the casing allowance double fold. The first fold is half of an inch, while the second fold is 1 inch. I'll go over to the sewing machine now to stitch round. I have created the casing and this is what it looks like. The next thing to do is to insert the elastic. Here is my elastic, and to get the measurements to use, you will divide your waist circumference into 3. But if you want that back loose, you want the back piece to drop to your lower waist, you can divide your waist circumference into 2, okay? So here I cut out 12 inches, but I later reduced it to 10 inches. After inserting, I realized it was loose, so I had to reduce it to 10 inches. But I would advise you use your waist circumference divided by 3. That's if you want it firm. But if you don't want it firm, you want it loose, you should use your waist circumference divided by 2, okay? As you insert the elastic, you should secure the end here with a pin so it won't go inside. You should secure the other end after the elastic comes out. Then go over to the sewing machine and stitch it down. After stitching it down, the next thing to do is to join it to the front piece. Here is my front piece, and where I will attach the back piece to is that place we notched earlier. So I'll place the front piece on it, right side facing, and pin it together. Then I will go over to the sewing machine to stitch with 1 inch allowance. I'll stitch the other side same way. Remember I said I ended up using 10 inches for the elastic. This is what it looks like now after attaching it to the front piece. The next thing to do is to fold in the side of the front piece to stitch. So I'll fold it in twice, that's ½ inch 2 times, then stitch it down, and I'll stitch the other side the same way. After folding in the side of the front piece to stitch, this is what it looks like. The next thing to do is to create the casing for the drawstring that will be tied around the neckline. So I will fold in the casing allowance same way I did the back, then go over to the sewing machine to stitch. After creating the casing, I will also stitch this piece for the drawstring. This piece is about 1.5 inches wide and the length should be as long as you want it. To stitch, I will fold in the first edge as well as the second, then fold it again and stitch it down. Or you can simply fold it into 2, then stitch at the edge and turn it right out. This is the front piece after creating the casing. Now I will insert the drawstring into the opening of the casing. Here is my drawstring, I already stitched it. So with the help of my safety pin, I will insert it into the casing. After you've inserted your drawstring, just pull your fabric together and you have gathers effect. Then you tie it around your neckline this way. The last thing to do here is to fold in the hem to stitch. I will give it a double fold and stitch it round. So guys, with this we've come to the end of this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. If you find this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it to others that might find it helpful as well. I will see you in my next one.